Welcome back to the Fit Like Krys podcast. I am joined by a very special guest today. Welcome, Brittany. Some of you already know her if you're an FLK Method member, but we're going to get to know her a little more. But before I dive into the episode, I just want to say thank you for listening. And if you have not hit that little, there's like a little, I think it's a heart. It depends on what you're listening, but there's definitely some place to like this podcast, to share this podcast. So like pause me real quick and go do that. And then come back. Okay, we're back. Fancy. I'm actually going to start by, well, first of all, thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm already stuttering.
Brittany's nervous and we're talking about confidence today. So it's great. I mean,
Working on it.
Yeah. And this is exactly why I wanted to talk to you about this, because you are just like the poster child for transformation. So, before we get into that, I would love like a little, pretend people just like have no idea who you are. Give us like a little, Brittany, what do you do? Obviously you're a FLK Method instructor, but like, what else do you do? What are your passions? Just give us like a quick, who is Brittany?
What? Let's see. So what do I do for work? I am a regulatory affairs manager for a cosmetic company.
What does that mean?
Don't ask me. Nobody knows.
Are you logged in right now?
I am not. I took a half day for this.
Oh, good. Okay. So you're by the book.
Vacation time.
Okay.
But I've been at that company for 20 years. So it is the only thing I've ever done. And then, I don't know. Fitness became like a passion of mine probably like about like 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay.
And then I got my personal training certificate during COVID, and because there was nothing else to do.
Smart.
Things like that. But my fitness journey really started because I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease when I was 20. And kind of like a similar story to you, they told me not to work out.
Right.
So eventually, after a couple years of not doing anything and also being in my early 20s and partying, whatever, by like 25, I was like, I need to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started.
What was the first like workout you did? Do you remember like what kind of workout you did? Was it like you walking into a gym and figuring it out? I feel like that's
your gym.
Yeah.
My brother came with me because he was really big into working out and still is, but he came with me to like sort of show me how to use the machines and the layout of it. And then he sort of like put together like a little bit of like a workout plan for me
to
like ease
Love that.
into it.
Yeah.
So that's how it started, like my workout journey.
Why don't I know how you found FLK Method? I'm blanking.
So I found it through a friend who tagged me in one of your challenges.
Oh, okay. Which you do every month.
Yes. And I've done like every one of them ever since.
Yeah, you're so good. And now you're an instructor, but you still do the challenges.
I still try and do everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she tagged me in that. And that's how I actually found you because you were working at a previous studio. But I never took like any of your in-person classes. I had only taken spin there a couple times. And then when she tagged me in the challenge, that's how I found you again. And then
do you remember what challenge it was?
I think it was Spooky Sculpt, because I think it was like right when you just had like left the other place and was just starting FLK Method. And then I think I joined as like a member in like February or March, like right after that.
Of 21.
21, yeah.
21, okay.
Because the gyms were still closed. I was still something to do. So, yeah.
And then, so so you joined during COVID. We were virtual for a while. Then, I mean, you still work out in person. You go to the gym.
Yeah, I go to the gym every day.
Every day.
5 to 6 days a week.
Beast. I'm actually curious. So like you go to the gym every day, you're taking FLK Method classes when you're not teaching them. So impressive. What is the difference between the two? And like, what do you get from each?
So I obviously started doing FLK Method because I had no other options. But when the gyms reopened, I didn't want to give that up because I really I enjoyed I enjoyed your class. You were obviously a major part of why I decided to keep doing this. But I just enjoyed the different types of classes. Like I go to the gym and I lift weights, but that's all I'm doing there. I'm not taking classes. I mean, I know people and I talk to people, but it's different.
Right.
Whereas like with FLK Method, it became more of a community. I like the challenges. I like that it was different classes every day. And I was just I'm getting what I need out of both. Like I'm getting a little bit
variety,
heavier lifting out of going to the gym and doing that. And then I'm getting like, you know, everything else that I could possibly want to do through FLK Method.
Yeah. Back to the autoimmune disease. There are so many.
Yeah.
You don't. The name is irrelevant. No one knows, right? But like, what's the side effect? I mean, you could tell us what it is, but what's sort of like what happens, or why did they tell you to not work out?
So I have something called myasthenia gravis, and it causes my muscles not to contract. So basically, the
Problematic.
more I work out,
Problematic.
the more tired I get. So that's why they suggested I don't work out. But I take medication for it 4 times a day or every 4 hours, depending how long I'm awake.
How long have you been doing that?
Since I was 20, so 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
It's wild.
yeah.
It's just one pill.
I take 1 pill every 4 hours.
What happens if you don't take it?
I feel very like fatigued. My muscles get very tired or like very heavy. It's like, you know, when you're like super just like worn out and you just feel heavy.
Yes.
That's what I feel like a lot of times.
Have you tried to take yourself off the medication?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that too. Not
It doesn't really work. I'm like, oh wait, I can't get out of bed.
Yeah. Try it.
Yeah,
Doesn't work.
you know, but it's worth a shot. And, you know, even my doctor was like, you can try. People go into remission from it, but it hasn't happened.
Yeah. So this medicine allows you to live.
To move, yeah.
Yeah, to move. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And then have you, like when you're working out, because I know I didn't know for a while, but then you told me, and I think you told me because either like you didn't want me to think you weren't listening to me. You were like, just so you know. So tell people about what kind of happens to you when you're in the middle of a workout.
So sometimes I can be, if I do like too much, like things just give out. So like my arm will give out or like my leg will give out. And so I think it might have been at like a Pulse in Person or something where I finally had to be like, if I'm not doing push-ups, it's just because I physically like can't lower myself down and pick myself up.
Yeah. And I was, and so we talked a little bit about it, but I remember like, this is why you cannot judge a book by its cover, you know, because you are so fit. I mean, your body is, you know, insane. Like you would come to my classes and I would be like, why is she coming here? Like she's ripped. And so you'd be doing something and I'd be like, why? Like in my head, I'd be like, let's go, you know? And I think I did that too many times. And you were like, listen, okay. Like I literally can't. And I was like, oh, okay. So I tell the story all the time behind the scenes to people, like more than you probably are comfortable with. But I tell people how you used to come to class, and this was probably for at least a year, if not 2, where you did not say a word.
Nope.
Not even a hello.
I feel like just go hide in the corner.
Like you walked in and you just would like go to your mat, work out, and leave. Like it was so confusing. I was just like, did she like you were, and I don't know, because obviously like I tried to also pull people out, but even when I did, it would be like a one word. It was very hard to like, were you like that in general? Like everywhere?
Alcohol helped it not be like that, but that doesn't work out in a workout class.
Yeah. Do you know, like, if you're looking back, because you're not like that anymore, and even if you have elements of that, you are so far beyond that, which we're going to talk about. But is there anything you can like, I don't want to say the word blame, but like, is there any reason why you think that you were like that? Is there anything you can point to, something that there are a lot of things, but is there one specific thing that changed, that shifted, not a moment, but like more like an action, like from you? Is there anything you do differently or that you didn't do before that was like holding you back?
I don't know that I can think of like one specific thing. I think that I was like, I've always just been, at least I feel like I've always been kind of shy. And obviously like whatever social anxiety or whatever you want to call it. But honestly, I started therapy 2 years ago and that really helped.
Okay. There you go.
So I think that might have been the like kind of a little bit of the turning point. I think doing teacher training eventually started to help that too. And
so let's kind of go right into that. So then you went from not speaking a word to me for years to
it wasn't you, I swear.
well, I know that now, to signing up for my retreat, my first retreat in Poconos. And I was like, okay, like
We're gonna talk.
random, the most random, expectation. Like I'm just like, of course, come, And then we get there, and it was literally, it was hours. It was maybe a couple hours. And I remember a specific point where I was doing something else and I heard you having a full blown conversation. And I was like, I have never heard her talk before. I was like, she is. And the whole weekend you were just,
I was trying.
and I was just like,
You're like, shut this girl up.
I was shocked. But since that time, it has been sort of like a new Brittany.
That I tell people all the time that retreat changed my life.
What happened?
I couldn't even. I think it was because I was just starting teacher training. So I kind of knew I had to talk. I was gonna my very first time coming to your house, you were like, you have to say something. I was like, I don't know what to say.
I was like, you got to just go like this.
Like just talk.
Let it out. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to like push myself out of my comfort zone. So that was coming to the retreat in general. And then I realized there you were doing like our card readings. And
I'm a tarot card reader, by the way. You didn't know.
So we were downstairs and you were doing the card readings, and the point of it was like, some point of it was like, you need to start doing stuff for yourself, or you don't normally do things for yourself. And it was like clicked, because that's what I had been thinking. Like, teacher training was the first thing I've ever decided to do for myself. Someone didn't tell me how to do it. Someone didn't tell me to sign up for it. Like, I got my job because of somebody I knew. I went to school where I was told to go. Like, I did everything in my whole life where I was told to do. And so this was the first thing I was doing for myself. And then when I read that, like you read that card to me, and so I was like, it felt like I was, okay, I'm doing the right thing, or like I'm in the right place. And then I don't know, it was just like, everybody's so like nice, and it was so fun. And I felt, I guess, safe is like a word that like, I opened up a little more, I guess.
So before you felt safe, right? Before you knew it was safe, and you didn't really know what to expect. And I'm speaking to sort of the general population of people who are shy, reserved, who are scared. What's the, like, how do you go from I'm scared to talk to I'm going to go to this retreat, or I'm going to become an instructor? Like, what's the step look like? In your experience, like, we're not giving like any advice that's, revolutionary, just like your experience of like what happened in your life and in your mind that helped you or that moved you from that place to polar opposite, in my eyes.
I guess it was like just feeling so, like, I felt so stuck for so long. And it was like, I can be uncomfortable and stuck in this feeling.
Oof. Powerful. That's good.
Or I can try and be uncomfortable, and it could work out. Like, I'm one of those people that's going to overthink everything we talk about today when I leave here. But 99% of the time that I've left a situation in the last 2 years that I've been so uncomfortable to go to, or something I've been so uncomfortable to try and do, has been amazing.
Yeah.
And the more I did it, like, I think like the first time, like I was like, I'm gonna come to your Christmas party. And I did. I think I stood in the corner and really didn't talk to
Yep.
anybody. You like grabbed my hand and like dragged me to
Yes,
go
I
talk
did.
to people.
Yes, I did.
And I was uncomfortable and I did it, whatever. And then it just got like easier. I was like, well, if I can go to Pulse in person every week, if I can go to this party or that, or then it was like, I'm gonna go to the retreat because I really like going to Pulse in person. You probably didn't realize that, but I like being around everyone.
You were there every week. Yeah.
You know, like it just was like the more I do it, I guess it was good. Immersion therapy, just stick yourself into it and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, the key there is just that discomfort. We're feeling it on both paths and everywhere in between. Like when you hate your life, when you're miserable, when you're depressed, like that's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you can do that,
Mm-hmm.
you can also be uncomfortable in things that are unknown.
And it's so much more rewarding.
Yeah.
Like I've sat, like, I mean, sure, a lot of us have sat in that discomfort, depression, whatever, for however long, too long, you know, maybe just a short period of time, but it's so much more rewarding. Now I'm realizing it's so much more rewarding to be on the other side of that. And doesn't mean I don't still have those like moments.
Of course.
But yeah.
$30 to change your life. It does not sound real, but I assure you it is. And it all starts with joining FLK Method for $30 as a new client. Head to Google. You don't have to take my word for it. Head to Google FLK Method and just read all of the reviews talking about how something so simple has changed women's lives all over the world. And it's $30. And after the first month, you can cancel it. And that's not a great decision, but it's your decision. All right. I just want you to not take my word for it, but to take the first step into changing your routine, finding what works for you, and finally feeling, looking, and living a fit and healthy lifestyle. You can either email me at fitlikekris@gmail.com or head to my website, fitlikekris.com. As standing in front of, and even though it's a virtual space, like you have all these people that are logging in and looking at you. How does that like feel? And what do you tell yourself to kind of push yourself through that?
Oh God.
Because I know that sometimes I have to do that and I've never had an issue with shyness. So for me, it's hard.
Really? I didn't get that. Well, the first class I ever taught, I literally blacked out.
I'm sure.
Like, you were like, how did it go? And I was like, I don't remember teaching it at all. But yeah, even over a year later, like still like some mornings I have to just be like, it's okay. I was actually telling people in class, whenever I have to teach a new class that I've never taught before, I have a nightmare the night before. That's something every time. It never
tradition.
Something goes wrong. So the next day I'm always like panicked. I'm like, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it usually does.
Yeah.
But I've gotten better at realizing like if my lights start acting up, if I hit Spotify wrong, if something, like I have to just breathe and realize people will wait, you know, or like it's okay instead of panicking.
Yeah, I've found that the thing that I think that people are going to think is often the thing that they're not thinking. Yeah. Like when I'm like, oh, you know, if you mess up and you're like, people are going to think this or people are going to think that. I learned that very early on in my teaching career, that like playing a certain type of music and I'm like, oh, I can't play that because then they'll think this. And it's like so the opposite. We have no idea what people are thinking. And the best thing we can do is to just stay on course, especially with instructing and being in front of people. Like if you mess up and almost like expecting for it not to be perfect, because that's more normal than expecting it to be perfect.
I think that's when I like go into it, like thinking like, okay, this is what it's going to be, or this is how, especially like maybe for a new class or whatever, then I mess it up.
Yeah.
Whereas like, if I'm just like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, we're just teaching a class this morning. It's fine. Like it's much better.
Yeah. And people often need that break, you know, like then they're standing there for an extra 30 seconds, but they need to like catch their breath, or like they're struggling to be standing there at that time anyway. So if you're taking a little longer to start, like it's really no big deal. Can you recall any situation in the past 2-3 years since you've been on this you turn the leaf over, that hasn't gone well?
Um,
Time you put yourself out there and it just did not go well.
yes.
That's a really good
So
example.
I've been single for about 2.5 years. And so the attempting to date thing has been, I like took a very specific like year and a half. I was like, I'm not dating.
Mhm.
And so getting back into that this year, 2024, has been not great.
Interesting.
Interesting. I won't say has been bad because everything's an
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
But yeah, dating's probably been one of those things.
And so what's the kind of connection point, like from, pushing your body to work out even though it's tired, to get in front of people even though it's hard, like for dating or relationships, what's the uncomfortable part for you? Like what part do you show up for that you're like, this could go away? Is it just showing up to the
I
date?
think it's just showing up. Showing up, having to like open up. I'm like, oh, do we have to do the same? What's your favorite color? What do you do for work?
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to do it.
I like dread like small talk like that. And I think that that's probably part of the reason why too, like I have like, it's so uncomfortable for me to like, when I meet new people, I'm like, oh, it's that same weird, like, how was your day? What's your,
Yeah.
how was the weather? Like,
Yeah.
I don't love that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's probably where it makes it more uncomfortable.
Something that was really helpful for me when approaching small talk, because I used to say that too. I used to say, like, I can't small talk. But I found that what that did was it closed off opportunities for me to connect and to meet people.
Yeah.
So, something that I heard that was really helpful that I started to apply almost right away, what was that, not apply, but it was the thought of small talk. That question begins the conversation.
Yeah.
The whole conversation is in small talk, right? And it could be, but that in the elevator at the same time, looking at like that, we feel like we sort of create that,
Yeah.
like breaking the ice faster makes it easier. Like saying like, oh, or like complimenting people is my favorite. That's so much more natural than saying like, oh, what's this? It's like, oh, those sneakers are really cool. And then we can, so I would say like small talk doesn't have to be inauthentic. You can small talk about things that like make sense for you, but it does. If you don't do it, it just shuts down your opportunity to have great conversations.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like a valid point because I realize even sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk to this person.
Mhm.
And then you start talking to them, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a match.
Yeah. Most people are great. You just have to give people the chance.
Yeah.
So we're actually coming up on another teacher training program this year. And I know for sure that there are at least, I could even say within the FLK community, at least 10 women who are thinking
Mhm.
like, oh, that would be cool if I could do that.
I've talked to like one or two of them already that have said it to me too.
Yeah, I would say you're the perfect person to sort of speak to that person, and not even just instructor training, like just people looking at something and saying like, oh, that would be really cool but that's not for me.
Yeah.
And kind of that thing that you said about you doing it for you.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just want you to like talk to those people and give them some encouragement on taking the step to do that, maybe with what it brought you and the value in it.
I mean, that was me. Like I was that person. I was taking classes with you going, damn, I really would love to do this someday. And so we're like, I really want to be her friend, kind of thing. Um, so I would, if you're thinking about it, I've told the few people that I have talked to, I'm like, just do it. You don't even have to teach afterwards, but like the confidence it gave me, the like friendships it brought me, like, because Samantha was my like partner for it. So like, that made us be like closer. It was just a really good experience overall, whether you continue to teach or not. But like I said, the confidence, the like this, the just how much stronger I am than I thought I was, like mentally, like it, I don't, it literally was life changing whether I decided to teach or not afterwards. I left that first teacher training thinking there's no way I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like cried on my way home. So if you sign up for it, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can cry about it. I was so scared when I left that I was like, there's no way I can do this. But I was like, I don't want to quit FLK Method. So I have to,
Yeah. Oh my God.
those are my options. I was like, if I quit teacher training, gonna have to quit FLK Method. So
Yeah. Like I can't tell Krys. Like I
can't do this.
Yeah.
And you know what? That isn't actually your only two options. If it isn't for you, you
Right.
can obviously
Yeah,
just say, hey, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But in my brain, that's where I went. So, but I'm glad I stuck it out. And I think that I really just think if you want to try it, you should for yourself. If it's something you really want to do for yourself,
Yeah.
it's worth it.
And the end goal, no matter what we're working towards, that expectation of like, it doesn't have to be anything. Like it's just can be the experience and whatever it is that looks appealing to you. Like we get one life.
Yeah.
There's so many things to do. I was talking to somebody, one of the crew members who just like went on, she like really wanted to go to a concert to see, I think Taylor Swift, and there was a ticket available and she just like bought the ticket.
Yeah.
I don't even know if she's going with someone or by herself, but like that, and I know that's come from sort of FLK Method and that just like, if you really want it, like there's nothing in your way. You're the only person in your way. And as soon as you get out of your own way, the world just starts to open up.
Just doing teacher training and coming to the retreat and just opening up a little bit there has opened up so many things for me. I did start going to do things on my, I would have never dreamt of doing anything on my own, you know, but now I'm like, if I want to go to a concert and nobody else wants to go with me, I buy the ticket and I've gone.
Yeah.
If I want to like go somewhere and nobody else can come, like I've just gone and done it. You know, I haven't traveled by myself yet, but that is on my bucket list of things to do. And
Highly recommend.
Yeah. And so I'm like, that's, you know, probably my next like adventure is maybe trying to like travel by myself. But yeah, if I never put myself out there to just even try the teacher training or put myself out there to, you know, try and make new friends or things like that, I don't know that I'd be doing any of these things.
Yeah.
Outside of FLK Method and inside of FLK Method.
Yeah, I think almost you took such an extreme step that it made all the other steps seem, and so that's really good advice too. Just like doing something completely out of your comfort zone, because then like everything else is going to feel,
it does feel easier.
You're just like, oh, well, I did that, so I'm going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, what is something what's the next thing that maybe has been rolling around in your mind that makes you uncomfortable to think about, but you're going to do it anyway, or you're working up the strength to do it?
I think I've spoken to you a little bit about this, but I think outside of just teaching, I want to I want to maybe get more into coaching or more into helping people. I've helped you like a little bit now with like the summer camp challenge, and I'm helping you with the trim down challenge, and just trying to like learn more overall, and then hopefully turn that into helping people more too. So I'm very uncomfortable about that, but I want to do it. So that's my goal.
Helping people is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
We need more people to help people. So I'm here to support you in every way that you need.
Thanks.
Because you're a great person to help people, because you've done the hard work, and that is the best way to teach anybody else. So if there's someone in your life who you're trying to get to movement, maybe that person is you. It's the action, right? Like being that role model, doing it, that life is the best lesson.
Yeah. And just start small. It doesn't have to be 15 classes a day in the gym 7 days a week.
Right.
And, you know, making this your whole life. I was lifting 2-pound weights when I started, you know, and just trying and built up to where it is. So like, it's just a like small little step there, especially when it comes to like working out. Yeah. That's all you need.
It applies to everything. It applies to working out. It applies to life. It applies, getting yourself out of your comfort zone is the theme. You have to do it, right? Like you can't not do it, because you're going to be uncomfortable kind of not doing it.
Yeah.
You're just going to observe the whole world living their life, and you're just like, oh, I wish I could do that. I'm so happy you're not doing that anymore.
Too. Thank you.
Fit with Britt.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. You can find more about our programs, coaching, and all that stuff on fitlikechris.com. What's your Instagram?
At Fit Brit Life. 2 T's in Brit.
Fit Britt, Britt Life. That's her on Instagram, and you could catch her classes on FLK Method. Download the app. It's free if you just want to be nosy and poke around the app. And you could also join for $30. Guys, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining, and we will see you in class.